Askreddit, what is your Tinder horror story? A little backstory. A few years ago I was dating this girl and her father really hated me. Which was a bit odd as most parents love me, or at least lie about it real well. He was just a huge prick and I always called him on his shit. Anyways, her parents got divorced, we broke up a few months later etc etc. Fast forward around a year later. Me and girl from Tinder were dating for a few months and things were starting to get serious. We're at the point where she wants me to meet her family. Mother, stepfather, little sister. Why not? I have no problems meeting them, let's do it I said. She told me how excited her stepdad was to meet me as it turns out we both happen to be Kansas City Chiefs fans. Well, fuck me if it wasn't the same asshole father of my ex-girlfriend. I don't know why I found this so funny, the absolute awkwardness of the situation is unfathomable. This guy is going to be your father-in-law someday, no matter who you date, it is destined. They are the real soulmates here. Buddy of mine hit it off with this girl and after a few days, she invited him over to a house party. Sure he says, what could go wrong? He shows up and is introduced to a few of her friends, all guys. As the night carries on, more and more guys show up and very few girls are actually at the party. After they start talking about how they all know this girl they find out that she invited them all from Tinder. Every guy was there not to hook up, but to populate this chick's birthday party. Edit, autocorrects from phone that is so very sad but also kinda clever. Got a Tinder notification on my phone, realized I don't have Tinder and was holding my girlfriend's phone. Tinder date with a famous chef where I was taken to a dive bar, where he promptly starting talking about how famous he was. We drank and watched sports. He proceeded to tell me you're cute and this eventually went to I am going to make you bleed. He then invited one of his friends to come along. I went outside and he came up to kiss me. I was drunk, so I kissed back. Eventually he proceeded to tell me how he was being charged with battering his ex-girlfriend, but he totally didn't do it. Eventually when it came time to pay the bill, he lost his wallet. Of course, I get stuck with it. I'll pay you back. Needless to say I never got a payment. Then he leaned up against me. I thought he was trying to kiss me again, but I looked down, and he was peeing on me. In the street. Peeing. On. Me. I swiftly, being too inebriated to drive, went and got myself a hotel room and a hot shower. Never again. Started speaking to this guy on Tinder a few months ago. He seemed alright, but not my normal type. Regardless, we started speaking for a couple of days. I didn't realize how stupid I was until now, but I mentioned where I worked. The night I mentioned my workplace, I saw a guy walk past that looked a lot like him. I hadn't met him in person so I wasn't 100%. I forgot about it and a couple of days later, it was quiet in work but my phone battery was low. I said I'd speak to him later before my phone died. Him coming in 10 minutes later with a fucking iPhone charger. Yes, this might have been a nice gesture if you know, I'd actually met him face to face before. This was really weird because he said he lived the other side of the city from where I work. I wanted to cut ties straight away, but I thought I'd return the charger after I finished work. He said he would be in a bar around the corner, so when I finished I met up with him, gave him his charger and made some excuse to go home. To my horror, I saw on his Instagram that he'd taken a smiling selfie earlier in the day with the caption I'm now a taken man dart. I'd seen him like not even twice. To make it even scarier, for a good few weeks, every time I'd finish work I would see him casually walking past on his own, exactly at the time I finished. Really creeped me out for a while. Probably not as bad as some of the others I read on here, but I thought I was really hitting it off with a guy I met on Tinder until a few dates later, when he broke down crying in the middle of a heated makeout session telling me he thought he might be gay. I needed a date to pass over dinner with my friends. He wore a vest and a newsboy hat, then introduced himself with a bow and a hat flourish. The night only got worse from there. He refused to eat any of the food because things on the plate were touching. It was fucking soup, and wouldn't shut his mouth during the 12 minutes of Seder. When it came time for his train home he purposely missed it so he could stay the night. Nope. After a movie with uncomfortable levels of hoverboob, I convinced my friend to come with me to drive him to the nearest train station. I needed a date to pass over dinner with my friends. He wore a vest and a newsboy hat, then introduced himself with a bow and a hat flourish. The night only got worse from there. He refused to eat any of the food because things on the plate were touching. It was fucking soup, and wouldn't shut his mouth during the 12 minutes of Seder. When it came time for his train home he purposely missed it so he could stay the night. Nope. After a movie with uncomfortable levels of hoverboob, I convinced my friend to come with me to drive him to the nearest train station. During the ride he thought was the best time to tell me he was schizophrenic but didn't take medicine because it was the devil. He tried to hold my hand saying that they were small and made him feel like a pedophile. The night ended with him telling me he was going to shit on the subway and write my name in it. There was no second date. Matched with my cousin. That means your cousin swiped right too. Wincest. Tin breeding. Kinda surprise. Please leave eggs unfertilized. I met a guy on Tinder. Seemed nice. Fairly attractive. Seemed a little vanilla actually. He didn't drink or smoke. Wanted to be a meteorologist. Was super close with his grandfather. Gentlemanly and family oriented. Went to Starbucks and talked for a couple hours. It was nice. So, I set up another date. We went for ice cream and again talked for a while. We were sitting outside and I mentioned something about how guys have obvious body parts to be attracted to on women while girls pick out odd things like calves and such. He gets real weird and says I don't know if I should tell you this, so of course I prod him until he tells me. So, first he says he's got a foot fetish. That's not super strange and I'm mostly curious, so I ask him tons of questions about it. He'd never been in a serious relationship, so I asked him if he could handle being with a girl who wasn't into it, at least long enough to feel love towards him, and he said no. I've called a girl from Backpages a couple times cause I couldn't take it anymore. Still not that weird. Then he asks if I have ever heard of a crush fetish. He tells me not to Google it because it'll freak me out. Still haven't. Never will. There are 2 levels of a crush fetish. LVL1. Becoming aroused watching someone crush invertebrate animals under their feet, like bugs, which was his fetish. And LVL2. Watching someone crush vertebrate animals like bunnies or kittens. This got me thinking about our previous date. We had a conversation on the first date about how I had been getting a lot more bugs in my room that summer, and so I'd been like squishing bugs all fucking day. And he said that really got him going. I also realized he had asked me what kind of shoes I typically wear and I had just brushed it off and answered him. I was wearing moccasins and, being a pretty open person, told him how they make my feet smelly so I try to avoid them. He told me that I got really turned on when you said that. I'd love to smell your shoes if you'd let me. Among other very forward, very specific and unwelcome statements about what turned him on about me. Best part, I told him a week or so later I'd met someone and that we should end our communications. He texted me a few months later 4 or 5 times asking me for my help and that he'd pay me to let him do stuff with my feet. Edit. Corrected misspelling of invertebrate and vertebrate. General clarifications for those who simply need to know about the fucking bugs. My house is located in the woods. It was summertime. My room is located in the basement. It wasn't an infestation. Just some spiders and the occasional 1000-legger which like to hang out in my bathroom and eat the aforementioned spiders. They had to be squished. I met up with this guy I had been talking to a few weeks. Tall, dark and handsome, originally from Turkey, world traveler, etc. Anyway, we meet up for sushi and things are going great, tons of stuff in common, and then it was like a fucking psycho switch flipped. He started talking about how now that we were going out, I couldn't wear nail polish because he got weirded out holding hands with someone who wore nail polish, and how he wanted to have a daughter but freeze her in time at the age of 4 so that she'd always be a daddy's girl and love him forever, and how when we got old, we'd have to have sex with the lights off since I'd be wrinkly and unattractive, and just went on and on. I literally just stared at him speechless and tried to get through the date expecting, at the very least, a free meal. But no free meal. In fact, more expensive meal. This guy had the nerve to ask the waitress to split the check when he ordered twice what I had. We paid. I stormed out. Never talked to him again. Why hello there. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more weekly videos. See you next time.